I'm going to just start off as we get into the sector and vendor portion of this, moving away from the macro. You just kind of brought up the enterprise apps and the SaaS licensing. So what I'm doing here is bringing up some of the main names. You had mentioned Salesforce. Right now, we're basically seeing steady Eddie there, not much of a change. But you mentioned SAP. It's not a name we talk about that often. We recently started tracking S4HANA, which is sort of their cloud data application, a full platform layer. They're calling it the premier, SAP management's calling it their flagship, their strategy moving forward. Also, can't remember the last time I saw a jump like this in SAP module. And again, over here, all of these modules that we're tracking are seeing a jump. So it's just really interesting to you to say, hey, I think what they're talking about in consolidating vendors is going back to their old partners, going back to their enterprise licenses and leveraging them. Would love your thoughts on, are you an SAP user? And what do we think about the viability of these alternatives in the marketplace right now?
So yes, I am an SAP user. Yes, I've actually adapted this same model, and we are executing on this model for several reasons. Number one, obviously, the enterprise agreement allows you to have access to these tools, and the more you eat, the better your discounting structure is. So it gives you the ability to leverage all of that without having to worry about supporting 6 or 7 different solutions, and the integration is there. The same conversation we were having about Microsoft, the integration is built in. So you don't have to worry about now, how am I going to, make success factors work with Concur, and how am I going to have all of my financial reporting and all of those pieces from HANA all work together. It's integrated. It's all part of the package. And so it really simplifies how you're looking at the overall management and resource planning surrounding support and maintenance of these types of enterprise applications. I don't have to have 20 different people with 20 different skill sets for 5 different vendors to support it. I have a core group of resources, and we get them trained, and we can support that environment.
That's fantastic stuff there. I do want to point out, as I just showed, the citations are still much llower than we normally collect on S&P. So SAP. So this still could change, and not until we put out our final reports should anyone take what ETR is saying until we're done with that. But right now, the preliminary data certainly shows some very interesting aspects. And also to note, SAP on-prem has been decelerating for a long time, which means if we're seeing this adoption, kudos to SAP, because their cloud viability is obviously improved. A lot of people say they're going to do that, but you actually have to be able to deliver. So from your standpoint as a customer, has SAP been able to do that and migrate to a cloud native type of technology?
They have, and I will say that they've done a good job. There are certain modules that you may use depending on your type of business where you still may have to have an on-prem presence because those modules today aren't available in the cloud. But as they continue to build out those capabilities, I'm sure that will transition over the next couple of years.
At the same time, however, we're still seeing leaders. We're still seeing ServiceNow and ITSM. We're still seeing Salesforce here as well. Super strong. In this, SAP used to be considered an ERP. Oracle was an ERP. It's now been broken down into cloud modules. As they continue to break cloud modules and support them, it seems like they're going to be on a collision course with more of the big 3 SaaS names of ServiceNow, Workday, Salesforce, and any others that come along. How do you see that playing out? Are you still increasing and allocating spend to both sides? Are they just finding their niche better? I'd be curious where you see that happening with these SaaS modules starting to clash with the big SaaS names.
I think, everyone recognizes that there's a huge market space out there, and a lot of folks want to opt for simplification and integration versus dealing with standalone best-of-breed solutions. In some cases, depending upon what your business needs are, you can leverage that. In other cases, you can't. So based on your business complexities, you may have the ability to say, you know what, now that Salesforce is offering all of these different features and functionality, I can start to look to them as a possible solution instead of looking in other avenues for things that I typically wouldn't have considered them for before. Now, that being said, there's also do they have that functionality?
Right.
and at some point in time, will you need it? So there's trade-offs. There's always trade-offs. But at the end of the day, everyone recognizes that there's market share to be gained. And if you can put together the right package of solutions, folks may be interested in going down that path just because it's one place to go. And it's a much simpler way to deal with things than having to deal with 4 or 5 different vendors. I can deal with one and get most of my needs taken care of there.
Right. Real quickly on the CRM side, is there viable competition? This is the first time we're tracking HubSpot. Not as many citations, but really strong spending. Freshworks kind of does it all. Has an ITSM, has a CRM, has pretty much all of it. Now, right now, they seem to be more mid to small, not major enterprise size. But in your viewpoint, when you start looking at a CRM like Salesforce, listen, they've been around a long time. They've got a lot of enterprise share already. Do you see any viable alternatives to them?
Again, I'll go back to my prior statement. It depends on what your business needs are. If you need all of the advanced features and automation and integrations that Salesforce offers, some of these other solutions aren't going to quite be as attractive to you. Salesforce is the 800-pound gorilla for a reason. So they have done it for a long time. They've done a really good job of looking at where the market was going and listening to their customers and building in features that their customers need. And these are typically large enterprise customers. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't come inexpensively. so depending on if you're, let's say a small or medium-sized business and you can live with, I don't need everything that Salesforce offers. Yes, then you can consider another alternative at a better price. And you also have the ability to leverage that because with a smaller organization that's up and coming, you have much more influence in how they're building and developing their products going forward.
Yeah, we can see here that their adoption level is dropping, which isn't surprising for someone that's as pervasive as they are. But when you go to an increase section, they're still just as steady as they have been. So particularly among the large enterprise, it seems as if their spot's well entrenched.
Yes. And nobody's walking away from them particularly. If you're already in bed with Salesforce and that's your primary solution, nobody's leaving it.